Brew Strong is brought to you by Blickman Engineering, home of the top-tier brewing stand. Visit them online at blickmanengineering.com.
It's time for the beer radio you've been looking for. This is the show that dispels myths, tackles the toughest topics, and makes no apologies for geeking out on beer. Hosted by two guys that drink before they think. Jamil and John Palmer. This is Brew Strong.
Hey, howdy. Hey, my brewing brothers and sisters.
Greetings.
Another fine episode of Brew Strong.
Yes, it will be.
Oh, I thought we were done. No?
Oh.
Well,
we already had one break, yeah.
All the fine beer from Device Brewing is getting to my head.
Really clean beers, too. I mean, it's
well brewed.
Yeah.
Oh, we're talking during the break with Ken about some of his philosophies on brewing, which seem to match ours quite well.
Yes, yeah. Very much.
The guest in the studio, Ken, what's your last name?
Anthony.
Ken Anthony from Device Brewing in Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been, the two previous shows on setting up your Nano, the phases of before you start, once you've started. And today we wanted to talk about what happens afterwards. What would you have done differently?
Right.
What worked well? What was wrong? What went wrong? What would you change? Things like that. I think those are, those lessons learned can be critical to, somebody just starting out. Really helpful, really interesting, information. Speaking of really helpful and really interesting.
I thought you were going to say, speaking of just starting out.
Blickman Engineering.
Our good buddy.
John Blickman, interesting and really helpful. If you see the guy at an event, homebrewers conference, something like that, go up to him, pinch his butt, and tell him how much. Say, hey, sweet cheeks, I really do love that you sponsor the Brewing Network Brew Strong show.
He's laughing his butt off right now.
Yeah, and wait until 1,000 homebrewers come up and pinch him on the butt next homebrew conference.
Oh. But he loves homebrewers. He's one himself,
and he loves having his butt pinched. So, he'll be really pleased with me next time he sees me. Go check him out. BlickmanEngineering.com. Blickman with two N's.
You'll see.
They got lots of great equipment on there, and even equipment for nano brewers to get started. Check them out. Tell them how much you appreciate them sponsoring the show. All right, so let's get into things you would have done differently.
Well, that list keeps growing. One of the most challenging things with starting probably any business, but especially a brewery with so many moving parts, is time management. Mm-hmm. How much time do you spend chasing something that's not worth your time? Overthinking something.
Yep.
Spending too much time over there on some part of your shop where you're trying to, if I just had this extra hose bib, everything would be better. And then you just wasted a half a day, going back and forth to Home Depot and doing something where your time could have been better spent. On the last show, we talked about
Well, even worse than that is early on, you're thinking you could use an extra hose bib there. Mm-hmm. And then you're saying to yourself, well, that's $5, and the pipe to run over, that's $20, and then it's going to be like $50, and then so you don't do it when it was convenient, and then later on you're like, oh my God, I'm spending hundreds, dealing with the lack of this hose bib.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
Yeah. But we talked about the building of my fermentation boxes, which I was doing my 50-hour a week engineering job while trying to do those in the evenings with some help from a friend, Jack, and just spending way too much time on just one component. Mm-hmm. And when that was finally done, I stopped and went, oh my gosh, How much time did I just spend on that project, and what else is next? It was that was a bit of a mistake. Just spending that much time on something and being a bit of a perfectionist on it as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, but in all fairness, what would you do differently in temperature control if you could have done it over again?
Probably what I would have done is the same thing, but I probably would have hired people to help me build them.
Okay.
Instead of trying to save the money, building it myself and with help from a friend.
So it cost you in time.
It cost me a ton of time, which is going to be money in the end. Honestly, the way it's set up, in my opinion, is probably the best way to chill or to keep the temperature controlled on a plastic fermenter. I've heard people running coils through them, cold water, and this. I thought, the more moving parts you have like that, the more opportunity you have for failures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I wouldn't change the way I did that necessarily. Was definitely a little ambitious on how much I could produce with a 55-gallon kettle. Mm-hmm. And in all reality, I can produce my 3 barrels in a day. But
that's one long ass day.
It's a long day, and the next day I'm pretty much crippled. Mm-hmm. I barely can get out of bed. I do because I have to carry on. Mm-hmm. But that if I could rethink that one over again, I would probably, even though I couldn't afford, say, a Portland Kettle Works 3-barrel, semi-automated, really, really nice system like that, because that right there would have been my entire budget.
Yeah.
Even though I couldn't afford that, I probably would have thought a little harder about sourcing a 3-barrel something so that I could limit it to one batch a day. I think that's probably the biggest mistake I made. The system I have works great, and the beer's coming out great. But if I was doing it into 1-barrel fermenters, and that was the brew day, then I'd be fine. But then I'd have an even bigger
cooling problem.
Well, I'd have a bigger issue with lack of beer
product.
Right.
Yeah.
How many days a week are you brewing now?
2.
Okay.
So we're doing 24 barrels a month.
Okay.
What do you think your maximum production is? If you change nothing else, just you.
Maximum production if I brewed more days a week. Oh, gee, I think this is it for what I've got. And until I size up my system, I've pretty much that's the limit.
Right.
Plus, I have 4 fermenters, so without buying more fermenters and building more boxes, that's the limit at the moment.
Right.
But really, the future is to see a larger brew house and some probably 7-barrel glycol chilled fermenters. Put more of them in there. Increase the capacity.
Because you'll sell 24 barrels. I mean, you can sell that through a tasting room in a week, easy.
Yeah.
And if you're distributing as well, I mean, you could drive around 24 barrels in an afternoon and drop that off in kegs.
Right. Well, I mean, I've definitely been advised of the volume that can go through a tap room from you, Jamil, and from guys like Chris Miller. People have said, "Hey, that's not a lot of beer. And we blow through that in a weekend in our tasting room." So, I'm aware of the volume issue. I think really for us, it was more a matter of being there, even if it wasn't the ideal.
Proving that you could get it to that point.
Yeah. Another thing I'd probably do differently is I would probably have. I took a couple of business courses in college, but I was an engineering major, so those business courses were just satisfying, lower division requirements. I'd probably have gone to my local community college. I probably would have taken a couple more business courses, just to brush up on some of that theory. Would have been good. Thankfully, math is one of my stronger points.
Sure. Yeah.
I tutored a lot of high school calculus going through college, so I did get to see a lot of the business calculus. And so I've had to draw from that. I've had to go back to the textbooks, look at those formulas, and see. Okay, these are some of those economic formulas for
applications.
For the applications for those businesses. So brushing up on the business end would have been really, really beneficial, I think, because in the end, brewing a good batch of beer is probably the easiest thing that I do in a week.
Yeah, that's the easiest task of running a brewery.
Right, and it's an 18-hour day, so
yeah,
it's to put into perspective.
Yeah,
that's probably the easiest part.
And it's very straightforward. It's something we all know, and you know, that people worry about that, and they're worried about you know, should I go to brewing school? And it's like, no, go to business school. Go to business school. Or if you can't go to business school, you know, we were talking earlier, and I was thinking, you know, what would be good is for people to get a job with a distributor or something and get on as a sales rep, or, you know, be a sales rep for a brewery. I would, and then, you know, just ask to, you know, spend a day with the brewing crew, you know, every once a month or something like that. Yeah. And that's about the proper ratio. Work as a sales rep and, you know, ask to help with the, you know, sales calculations and numbers and things like that. Or maybe take some classes at night, business classes, work as a sales rep, and then ask to help out one day a month with the brew crew, and do that for a year. And I bet you that would be somebody really prepared to open a brewery.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
You know, a home brewer that would really, you know, kick it out of the park that way.
Yeah, and just being able to organize your strategy for how you're going to get those accounts, because it's one thing to have beer, it's another thing to sell beer. Mm-hmm. And it's not an easy sell,
right?
And there's a lot of competition out there too.
I mean, you'll sell that first keg.
Yeah,
you know, you go to places and they go, "Yeah, sure, new brewery in town. Oh, okay, yeah, we'll put it on." And you give them a taste. They're like, oh, "Okay, it doesn't suck. All right, we'll put it on." And you can sell that first keg, but it's not about, you're going to run out of accounts. You need those accounts that you sell to put it on, and keep putting it on, keep putting it on, keep putting it on. They need the tougher ones, the restaurants, the airport lounges, the golf courses, the place that they don't switch their beers out. They just have that same beer for a year, 2 years, 3 years. You want to be that beer.
Yeah. We should get a distributor on the show at some point.
Oh, yeah. I was talking about... I talked with Mike Larrabee, our very first distributor at Central Coast, and he said he would.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So we just never quite made that happen. I think we should go down. We should do like a remote.
There's an idea. That'd be fun.
We take Moscow with us. Mm-hmm. Take some... He's looking at me. He's like a panic.
That's what my look looked like?
Yeah.
Panic, huh?
That, or you're like about to pass a kidney stone. I don't know what's going on there. All right, let's do this. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll get more of Ken's do's and don'ts about opening a Nano after this.
Where can you still find $7.95 nationwide shipping, a friendly, knowledgeable staff, and all of the stuff to brew for less? Homebrew Stuff.
Isn't the Homebrew Stuff a sexual maneuver?
Homebrew Stuff is the largest homebrew supplier in the Northwest and can be found in Garden City, Idaho, and online at homebrewstuff.com. Equipment and ingredients for brewing beer and wine, soda and liquors, books, instructional DVDs, beginner kits, and a great selection of grain and hops. Homebrew Stuff also has dozens of free videos online to help make brewing easier. Visit homebrewstuff.com now for the best prices with their match or beat guarantee. BN Army members can take 10% off their first order with the coupon code BNARMY. Kegs, regulators, faucets, towers, carboys, conicals, barrels, you name it. Get your homebrew stuff for less at homebrewstuff.com. Homebrew Stuff. Not a sexual maneuver. Just the best prices and great service on all the stuff you need. Homebrewstuff.com. When you hear Blickman Engineering, think innovation, passion, quality, and customer service. Blickman gear is designed by brewers to give you a sense of pride in your equipment. At Blickman, they know what makes brewing a pain and build gear that makes it fun. Like the intuitive beer gun, a completely different approach to filling bottles. The Therminator Wort Chiller, a new take on a plate chiller that's sized for flow, performance, and the high groundwater temps homebrewers face every day. The Brewmometer, a brilliant weldless thermometer design with brewing parameters right on the dial. The Autosparge, ultimate simplicity for preventing an overflow or running your mash tun dry. And much more, like the modular top-tier brewing stand, conical fermenters, and their Boilermaker brew pots. With more cutting-edge equipment coming soon, keep up with the latest from Blickman at blickmanengineering.com and stay on the cutting edge. announces their first customer recipe issue since 1991. This free 64-page catalog includes 27 of the best homebrewing recipes submitted by their regular customers. Best of all, this paper-only catalog is free for the asking. Just go to williamsbrewing.com and click on the free customer recipe issue link. This offer expires October 18th. While you are on the site, check out some of the latest exclusives like the Williams Oatmeal Stout Malt Extract, the Big Oxygen System, and they even have their own line of precision hydrometers. Go to williamsbrewing.com to browse their vast selection and enjoy their famous customer service. That's williamsbrewing.com. Orders placed by 4 p.m. Pacific Time weekdays ship the same day. Brewing is easy, the Williams way.
Hey, my brewing brothers and sisters, this is Jamil and I love a bold, hoppy beer, one that spits resin in your face and makes you cry uncle. There are a lot of great hoppy beers out there, but at Heretic, we want to make something as bold, dank, and resiny as possible. We use hops at every chance we get, including multiple dry hop additions. The result is Heretic Evil Cousin. This light golden, 8% Imperial IPA has an easy malt character that helps take the edge off the massive bittering, but it takes a back seat to the in-your-face hop character. We make sure this beer finishes dry so the hops can jump out and slam you in the taste buds. If you can't get enough hoppy goodness, Evil Cousin is your cup of tea. Cheers.
Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing. And like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz, More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of The Buzz, the forum, the Learning Center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making.
Back to the two guys that know how to turn beer into beer. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. We're talking with Ken Anthony from Device Brewing in Sacramento. You mentioned before that you had a budget of $30, and what did you think things would cost? How did you come up with that budget of $30? And where did you end up in the end? Did you come in under budget? Where did you end up missing on what the costs would be?
Well, I drew up every system in the building. Mm-hmm. I just put it on paper, labeled everything all the way down to little adapters and fittings and clamps and hoses and you name it. I put it on paper, mm-hmm. And then I took those schematics and I entered them all into a spreadsheet. And then I had the different suppliers, potential suppliers for each of those, and then their price points. And then I tried to match the lowest price on each of them to generate the lowest cost of all these systems. And the reality was that I figured I could do it for 20 to 22, kind of in that range. I figured, okay, well, I'll put in 50%, call it 30. I'm prepared for that.
Well, a cushion
for
unexpected expenses. There's going to be a little this, that, the other thing, and you figure you're well under 30.
Sure,
you're gonna be brewing, and you're gonna go like, see, it was only 25.
Yeah, not the case. Not the case. We've launched right past 30, and it's climbing more towards 40. But I would say, to those who are thinking about getting into this, one, you probably need to have your head checked because it's a pretty insane venture, especially at a nano level, and you really have to be, you got to be dedicated to it because the work week is insane.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as Jamil said, I produce under 100 gallons of beer in the same amount of time you produce 2,000 gallons of beer.
Yeah.
It's it's the same level of effort. In fact,
we produce 2,000 in we brew, clean, everything in about 10 hours.
Right. So that's
hours.
Right, and that's with cleanup.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, it's you don't produce enough beer.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bottom line. I think the only real sane reason to do this,
and we could be producing 20,000 gallons in that time. You know, with a different brew plant, everything scaled up.
Yeah. But I think the only real sane reason to do this at the Nano level is with a vision of something bigger in the very near future.
Well, and I think that's one of the things that we were talking about this earlier. And one of the things that dawned on me is, you know, I know that the Nano thing is insane based off of that fact that you're going to have to change your scale in order to actually make it a viable enterprise for the long term. But the reason for doing it, the reason going through the insanity is that it proves something to yourself, something to others, something maybe to a bank, something to, you know, family members that may be potential investors or your spouse or whoever, that you can do it, that you can get to that point where you're actually commercially producing beer and selling it, and that the beer's good and that people like it and that there's a demand. And that's really the value to it of starting Nano, I think. Even, you know, and you asked me about, we started, you know, sharing that building with EJ Fair, doing an alternating proprietorship. And you asked me if I would do that way again. And I was like, no, I would just go straight to getting the loan, building the building, doing the whole thing on my own. But, I mean, that was of a value. But, you know, in retrospect, I think what I was really looking for was just a way to comfort my own anxieties, you know, have this opportunity to do this in a less
safer environment,
less exposure, less financial exposure, less, you know, all this stuff. But with less exposure, with less risk comes lower rewards, and it really just delayed us in really making, you know, the growth that we could have and doing what we possibly could have.
Did it take
just delayed us? And I think a Nano just delays you too. But there's a value to it still. I'm not saying, you know, it's not the way to go, but you got to realize what you're gaining out of it is not like a great business platform, but, you know, kind of proof of concept for yourself.
It's experience versus money.
Yeah.
Kind of reward kind of thing.
Did it take your current setup to know that, or did a part of you know that at the time?
I think a part of me knew that at the time, but, you know, it really is very clear to me now that I would have financially been much better off just building the thing straight out. Now, I learned a lot of things, too, by, you know, experiencing, you know, the previous setup and, you know, things that I did and didn't like, and I, you know, wanted to correct those.
Yeah. Lack of 240 power.
You know, that's helped us a lot. But, you know, it comes at a cost. And Ken, I mean, you're seeing, you know, these insanely long brew days and, you know, already the need to grow. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you're just getting started and you're already realizing, okay, well, we got to get ready for that next step. That next step is going to have a huge number of hours related to it and a huge investment related to it. And it just keeps happening every time you need to make a growth step.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So, okay, Wesley, where have we come from to get here?
I came up from Fairfield. Yeah. So it's just you know, it's an interesting thing, and I think what we're all trying to say is, you know, if this is what you can financially pull off, and you're determined to do a brewery, then
do it.
Absolutely do it. But if you can financially pull off a bigger setup to start, do that instead. You know, there's people who have the wherewithal and they start too small, I think.
Yeah. We really, our biggest thing was to avoid bringing on a lot of investors, because we believe in the product and we believe in the success of the product, but we didn't want to have to deal with 10 different people all wanting their cut. And that's tough, because on one hand, I knew I could do what I really wanted to do if I just said, okay, sure, let's put together a deal here. But then on the other hand, I thought, if I can just push through this initial, challenge, which is an understatement. We push through this initial challenge, get open, get some brand recognition, gain that experience, generate relationships with retail accounts, learn a lot along the way. Then, the step from this to a 7-barrel brew plant or a 15-barrel brew plant is not going to be as dramatic. Plus, again, it's not just brewery operations that we're doing here. There's so many other things that we're doing. You're running a business, which is a universal concept. You're managing customers. It's a universal concept. So these are all different parts of the puzzle.
What didn't you learn from how to brew? To in going into business for yourself. I mean, you say business classes. I mean, what could you have gotten out of those business classes if you'd taken them, or what more did you think you needed?
Well, my business plan, which everybody should have.
Yeah.
My business plan was something that I developed on my own while looking at some business plans that I'd found online. Looking at even college students have posted their senior project, which is a business plan.
Sure. And
they've posted online. Some of them even done breweries.
Okay.
And they're good. They show you a lot of what should be in a business plan, in a business model.
Like what?
Well, like how to account for all the little expenses, how to account for fixed costs, how to look at what your margins are.
Okay.
Breaking things down to the per ounce price.
Okay.
What is this costing me per ounce to produce? And in this format over the counter, in this format in a bottle, in this format in a keg, what is the per ounce profit? What are all these individual margins? It's also how to split up your different revenue streams. Okay, some of them you're going to get money from your taproom sales, you're going to get money from your bottle sales, you're going to get money from your keg sales, and you break up that percentage. There's only 100%.
Right.
And so it's how do I break this up, and then what are the logistics of that? And understanding how to itemize all those things in a very easy to use and easy to understand sort of a way. Now, my spreadsheet's kind of a Franken spreadsheet because it just started as a very small list and has grown into a gigantic spreadsheet.
Sure. Yeah.
And if I had gone to, say, a small business college course, they probably would have had us do a project that would have been putting together that kind of a business plan. And then I would have had some really good feedback from somebody who has done, 1,000 of them to say, hey, this is the way to really do it right.
And you could have been working on your brewery business plan in that class.
Exactly.
You can go into those classes with that in mind. They always have you do these projects, and that could be the thing you do.
Right. Yeah, so the business side of it's probably been the most challenging.
Yeah.
And really being able to keep all the ducks in a row because, when you form an LLC, there's certain things you have to pay for annually, just no matter what, you have to pay this. There's other fees you have to pay. And you've got to set up a calendar, and you've got to know when all these things are going to hit because you might not necessarily be reminded that they're due.
Right. Oh, yeah.
But they'll get you if you're
Google
late.
Calendar is your friend.
Yeah.
And so when you come across this information that says, you got to pay quarterly, or you need to file this report, yearly, or you need to, have a shareholder meeting, quarterly, or you want to go in and set reminders on those dates on your Google Calendar for all that stuff. Your TTV reporting, your ABC reporting, when you're supposed to do inventory, when you're supposed to, all that stuff. You just keep adding it to your calendar. And as long as Google Calendar never fails, you're reminded of these things. I mean, if you don't do that, there's no way you'll ever remember all that stuff. It's horrible.
Well, and the nice thing about Google Calendar is you can share it.
Right.
With the others. In my case, my wife.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody can work from the same calendar.
That's right.
Really is handy.
Yep.
Now, so what things did I ask this already? What things did you do that you felt you did right? What is the things that you did right that everybody else should be doing too if they're opening a Nano? What?
Well, I would have to say probably the best thing I did was choosing my building, choosing the proper
that did sound good.
Location. Yeah. I cannot overemphasize the value of having infrastructure in a place already. Mm-hmm. That's probably the single best thing that we did was where we chose the former restaurant location.
How long did it take you to find your location?
Actively looking, really only a few months of actively looking.
Mm-hmm. So a few months of actually looking around at different buildings. Mm-hmm. A lot of times people think they should find that, they should go around in a week, look at places and decide on a place. I've seen that before. No, you got to just keep checking the marketplace and keep checking buildings, and then sometimes things become available while you're waiting. Sometimes deals change, buildings change hands, all sorts of things happen, and the market's ever changing. It's a fluid thing.
Well, and the other thing is I negotiated about 4 months of free rent, so that when we signed our lease, we paid rent. I think it was the fifth month rent we paid up front as sort of a just we're going to pay that rent now plus our deposit. But we haven't had to make payments on our rent while we're going through this build out, while we're going through setting everything up, getting the initial operations up and running, which has been nice because there's no revenue coming and you're just hemorrhaging money. And so the last thing you want to do is be paying rent at the same time. So if you enter into a contract or into negotiations for a contract with a landlord, I would highly recommend playing hardball and saying we need a period of free rent. If this business is going to survive, we can't be paying you X thousands of dollars every single month before we have any revenue sources.
Did you play that hardball yourself, or did you have a broker helping you?
I play myself. I do have some friends still from my days working commercial real estate, people I talk to, just because I've been out of it for a little while. And so I did seek their advice and how to approach that. And I think it was definitely valuable.
Well, and understanding what the local market is requiring of tenants. I mean, some marketplaces, you're not going to be able to get the free rent. Some places, you're going to be paying more per foot. Some places, they're going to want, different things. And some places, it's a lot more hungry, and there's a lot more dead space out there, and they'll do anything to get somebody in it because, the empty building doesn't do them any good.
Yep. Yeah.
Did you have a broker, Jamil, when you were looking and negotiating?
No.
Did it all yourself?
Yeah.
That just seems like something that would be, I could imagine someone giving the advice. No, have a pro.
You still work through a broker. I didn't work direct with the building owner, but it was the building owner's broker that was representing the building. So, but I spent 6 months looking for buildings, checking out cities, things like that. I mean, I looked at buildings after buildings. I looked on Google Maps. I looked at satellite views of things. I was searching a lot of online real estate
cities bidding. I mean, kind of.
Yeah, I was looking at a lot of online resources for buildings, commercial buildings. I was, checking with cities on their rules and their, there's some places you just can't go. I mean, places like. I found one great building, and it was perfect. And I thought, wow, this is the fantastic location. Everything I want for now, everything I want for the future. This is ideal, and it's a lot of infrastructure there. I'm like, it's major road. I'm like, price is right. I'm set on this one. And the city required that any new business moving in was like a zero water use net, right? So we had to somehow generate the water that we would have been using, and you do that through like buying water contracts, all this stuff, and they, there was just like these insane restrictions And then I'm just like, no, forget it. That's just not going to work. I really love that building. I thought about how to make it work. But again, I spent 6 months, so I knew what the cost of buildings were. I knew, who would move and how far they'd move. I mean, once you talk to, enough building owners and what they're asking for, you have a pretty good idea of how cheap things will go. And then you ask for a little bit more than that, and, they come back with something in between, and you're good.
Yep. Now, there's definitely back and forth on that. And you definitely want to ask for more than you think they're willing to do.
Right, because they figure you're asking for more than you really want. And they'll come back. It's a negotiation. It's all, And again, some cities with, extremely high, occupancy rates, you're in less of a situation there where you can drive the negotiation. So,
and I think another thing is that's really important when you're just starting out, especially a bootstrap kind of operation, is really being very, very aware of sourcing. Understanding that you can source things from multiple locations. You don't have to go to the one major national, equipment supplier. There's others, and you really need to do your homework. And don't jump on the first price you see for something, because chances are you can save a lot of money just by shopping around. We did a lot of that.
And if you're buying things in bulk, sometimes instead of buying from multiple vendors, you can also go to one of the vendors and say, "Look, this is what I'm looking at buying. I see a lot of these things are cheaper here and there. Can you give me a better price?" Sometimes you don't even have to do that. We're outfitting the lab and just asking. Our lab guy just asked for a discount since we're buying a lot of stuff. And they're like, "Okay, here you go. Here's the discount." And so you just ask for the discount, I think, is also a good rule of thumb. And you'd be surprised. At worst, they go, "No, we can't do anything for you."
Right.
And then sometimes they're like, "Yeah, here you go." Same thing, if somebody doesn't perform, if you have a deal with somebody, a contract with somebody to provide a service or a product, and they fail to live up to that contract, you go back to them and you say, "Look, you're not living up to the contract. Here's how you failed. What are you going to do to make this right?" And a lot of times they'll go like, "Can I knock $1,000 off?" And be like, "Okay, that's acceptable." And then it's water under the bridge, and you've saved yourself some money to make up for things like that. It's like if something's late based on a deadline, make sure they know that you need it by that time, and that it's going to cost you money if you don't have it, and they're responsible for that. And a lot of times people are willing to deliver in business. They know that's the price of entry, and they're willing to make it right if that doesn't work out. All right, let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll have more questions with Ken after this.
Hi, I'm Jason Harris, the proud owner here at Keystone Homebrew Supply. We're thrilled to be entering our 20th year of supplying this great industry, and to show you, the Brewing Network Army, how much we appreciate your support, we're offering you 10% off your first order on our website, KeystoneHomebrew.com. Just use coupon code BNARMY at checkout, and I'll get your order out the same day. My goal at Keystone Homebrew Supply has always been to have a complete supply of everything a brewer could want. When you place your order online or when you come into our store, it's our goal to have everything on your list and more. One aspect of KeystoneHomebrew.com that we're really excited about is the ability to fulfill customers' exact grain bills. Do you hate to wait? Keystone Homebrew Supply can get your precious yeast and hops to you within just one day if you live between Connecticut and Virginia, and within 2 days east of the Mississippi. KeystoneHomebrew.com. Coupon code BNARMY. I'm Jason Harris, and I approve this message.
Tin, Getting tired of that same old handcrafted beverages day after day? Are you looking for something with more diversity than your normal beer? Fellow BN Army member Michael Fairbrother, owner of Moonlight Meadery, is reviving an entire beverage category, mead.
The meads at Moonlight Meadery are all handcrafted from the finest honey on the market and are perfect for any occasion, like weddings, baby showers, or...
Excuse me? Mead is not your average girly drink, mister, and Moonlight Meads can be enjoyed anytime, anywhere. Football games with the guys.
Yeah.
Barbecues with the guys.
Yeah.
Operating power tools with the guys.
Yeah. Actually, sir, that's really dangerous.
Good point, son.
Next time you have something to celebrate or are just looking for a new tasting experience, pick up a bottle of mead from Moonlight Meadery. Now in 21 states, making over 60 varieties of mead from dry, semi-sweet to sweet.
Break out of that craft beer lull. Grab a bottle of Moonlight Mead. Can't find some? Then ask. No, make that demand some.
Yeah!
What'd you get? More brewing ingredients?
Yep. You know what I love about Brewmaster's Warehouse?
The $6.99 shipping?
Well, yeah, but...
Oh, the in-store classes for beginning brewers.
Yeah, that's cool, but...
Oh, the Brew Builder. Creating and saving your recipes online is awesome!
No, yes, but...
The cheese-making supplies.
No.
Oh, the wine-making supplies. Oh, the distilling equipment and liquor flavorings.
All that stuff is awesome, yes, but what I really love is that the guy who runs it is totally hot. And that Brew Builder software is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Brewmaster's Warehouse brings you flat rate shipping on great equipment and ingredients to make beer, wine, cheese, and spirits at brewmasterswarehouse.com. And if you're in Georgia, stop by Brewmaster's Warehouse Monday through Saturday from 10 to 6. Visit brewmasterswarehouse.com today because it's totally hot.
Oh, yeah.
A vial of White Labs yeast is the key to your best beer. When you open a vial of White Labs yeast, you're giving your beer its best chance for a perfect fermentation. In addition to their already incredible variety of yeasts, White Labs is proud to announce WLP 90, San Diego's super yeast, now available year-round. WLP 90 is super clean, super fast fermenting, with low esters and has a neutral flavor and aroma profile. It's alcohol tolerant and highly flocculent. For more of the latest White Labs news, click over to whitelabs.com, where you can read reviews of yeast, learn in the lab section, and join the customer club. And if you should find yourself in San Diego, White Labs has a brand new training facility for craft brewers and home brewers alike. Whitelabs.com. Discover yeast, nutrients, enzymes, and more for commercial breweries, home brewers, and homebrew stores. White Labs. It's all in the vial.
Hi, I'm Jamil Zainasheff, and in addition to my work on the Brewing Network, I write the Style Profile column in every issue of Brew Your Own magazine.
Hi, I'm Sean Paxton, and when I'm not prepping for the Homebrewed Chef on the Brewing Network, you can find me writing articles on how to cook with your homebrew for Brew Your Own magazine.
Greetings, cretins. This is John Palmer, and when I'm not writing for Brew Your Own, I'm reading it.
John Palmer, Sean Paxton, Jamil Zainasheff. If you love listening to them on the Brewing Network, you'll love reading their articles, tips, and recipes in the pages of Brew Your Own magazine. Join Jamil, John, and Sean 8 times a year in Brew Your Own. And when you subscribe to BYO on the Brewing Network website, half of your subscription price goes right back to the BN to support great beer and food programming. So sign up for Brew Your Own magazine through the BN website today so you can listen and read your way to better homebrew.
Back to your hosts, Jamil Zainasheff and John Palmer. Putting the testicles in technical. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. Let's see. What else? What else would you advise new brewers to do? What about your local community there? Are you working with your neighbors? People in the buildings next to you, other breweries, things like that.
Yeah, both actually. Starting with breweries, you should know the other brewers in town.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably a good idea. They're your allies. They're your friends. This is your community.
Should I go by the AB plant and introduce myself? And
absolutely.
Shake hands? I should. I would just say hi,
Yeah.
I'm sure they
But, a lot of...
must be nice.
A lot of the other brewers in town, the guys at Track 7, Berryessa, Knee Deep, these people have been very open and very willing to share technical information. Willing to say, well, this is what I do. Because for a lot of these things, making the transition from homebrewing and even the homebrewing that I did was probably more advanced than what most people do. But I also had the ultimate plan of going to a commercial level, so I put a lot more money and a lot more technology into my homebrew system. But even then, going from that to what I'm doing now, which is still fairly low tech, there's a lot of unknowns, and there's not really an instruction manual for a lot of these things. And so being able to pick up the phone, calling somebody and saying, hey, how am I supposed to do this? Like, what's really the best way to do this? Because you can go on probrewer.com, but you'll get 1,000 different opinions, and sometimes it's hard to sort through it all. So yeah, it's really important, I think, to get to know the other brewers, let them know who you are and what you're planning on doing, be open with them, and I think you'll find most of them are very good guys, and very willing to help, and that's been my experience.
We will always have something where something new comes up, or we're considering doing something different, and then the discussion goes on, and then I end up emailing some other brewer and saying, hey, what do you guys do? What do you think of this? And they're like, well, here's what we do, here's what we think, and it's extremely helpful. That's guided us through a lot of decisions that we've made. And you asked about the community and neighbors and stuff. Absolutely. My next door neighbors, Rocky and Derek, these guys are a wood and metal shop right next door, and they've been hugely helpful to me on a number of levels. And if you don't have support, especially nearby support, because sometimes having friends is fine, but if your friend is 35 minutes away, or your friend's working or taking care of his kid, you need that local support, the people that are there in that area during the daytime.
Right there, 5 minutes away. 5
minutes away. You can't always call your friend and say, hey, leave your office and come help me real quick, I got something going on. I cannot tell you how many times I've paid for liftgate service and had a truck show up with no liftgate. And so then I'm running across the parking lot to my neighbor saying, can I borrow your forklift again?
Same thing happened for us. I was just, our next door neighbor, had a forklift. We didn't have a forklift, made a big difference. And then his forklift broke later on. And he's like, can I borrow your forklift? I'm like, absolutely. Work with the local people, and beer's a great way to get to know people. Everyone wants to, see what's going on in the brewery. It's exciting for a lot of people, and being able to share that kind of your excitement. They take an interest, and you've got people that'll help you out.
Yeah, and be active in your homebrewing clubs. Get involved. Get to know other homebrewers. Homebrewtalk.com is a great resource just to get to know other brewers in the area. And my buddy Chris up in Rockland, he's an outstanding homebrewer, won a lot of blue ribbons. I still will call him and say, hey, what do you think about this? Talking about recipes, talking about fermentation. It's always good to have somebody to talk to, because sometimes just discussing it, you unlock the answer.
Sure, yeah.
Because you can sit. I can walk around in circles in my brewery and ask myself 50 times, and I won't come up with an answer that pleases me, because it's just me talking to myself. Sometimes just picking up the phone or sending a text message to a friend who's also a brewer, it's good, because then you at least get someone else's opinion. That's important, especially when you're not going into the deal with 3 or 4 partners.
Right.
But I think it's a different can of worms too, though.
Well, now a lot of people do go into these businesses with their homebrewing buddy, and sometimes that works out, sometimes that doesn't. You went it essentially alone, but you got your wife. How did that work out for you? Do you wish you had some other brewer working with you?
Sure, absolutely. At times I do wish I had somebody else with me, and somebody else to be able to slap their hand and step out of the ring for a while. But I think my problem is that I went through a very long period of time playing in bands years ago. And it was a good experience, because partners are like bandmates, and creative differences get in the way. And the only thing worse than a bandmate is a bandmate's girlfriend. So you've got partners, and you got their wives, and then everyone's involved, and everyone's got a stake, and everyone's neck is on the chopping block, And, you know, I don't regret going at it alone, but I absolutely do wish, on a fairly regular basis, that it really would be nice to have, you know, a couple partners here with me. But my friends who've been working with me, and my friends who've been a big part of this, those people who have a solid spot on our wall of fame, they've filled that gap, in a big way. I'm so grateful.
Great. All right, one last break, and we'll come back and we'll
take some questions from the chat room.
Take some questions from the chat, and we'll wrap up this interesting segment with Ken from Device Brewing right after this.
BN Army, HopTech has a great discount waiting for you. Do you often find it difficult to find specific specialty ingredients for your homebrew recipes? Well, listen to this. HopTech stocks 59 different grains to choose from, 39 varieties of pellet hops, and 8 kinds of whole leaf hops. And HopTech not only carries Y yeast and White Labs yeast for you, but also Fermentus, 04, 5, 6, 23, 33, and T58 Belgian yeast, plus Cooper's, Nottingham, and Windsor yeasts. Got your recipe ready to go? Pick up some great brew gear like new long and short sleeved shirts, games, and more. HopTech's new website is being updated every day with new items. If you don't see it, call the shop. They're open 6 days a week. BN Army and AHA members get a 10% discount, and active military personnel get 15% off. Visit HopTech.com today for great selection, great service, and a great discount. HopTech.com.
That's it. I've had it. I am never putting hops in my beer again.
What? Why?
It's just too ridiculous. Insane prices, stupid contracts, high shipping costs, crappy selection.
Dude, you need Nico Brew.
Nico Brew will rock your f***ing face right the f*** off your f***ing skull. $5 shipping to all 50 states. Plus fantastic international rates get you low prices on Nico Brew's great selection of hops and more. Whether you're a home brewer, a pro brewer, or a homebrew shop owner, Nico Brew can get you the hops you need in increments big and small, single orders, spot buys, or full contracts. And there's only one place to join the uber special secret elite bare bones club where you'll get the best deals anywhere.
Holy shit!
NicoBrew.com. NIKOBREW. Nico Brew, your bare bones buddy in the brewing business.
Tonight is the night.
We bring the creature to life, Dr. Blickmanstein?
Yes, J.P. Gore. Everything is perfect for my next fermented creation.
My doctor, the storm is too far away. We'll never have enough power to isomerize the creature's alpha acid.
Yes, J.P. Gore, we will. For I have in my possession the Tower of Power.
Blickman's new Tower of Power is the evolution of automation. Control hot liquor, sparge, and mash temps like a pro. The Tower of Power is a high-quality gas-fired rim system that works with your current brewing setup. With ultra precision, the tower can hold your mash to 1/2 of a degree Fahrenheit. Precision and repeatability. The Tower of Power is the answer to automatic, fast ramp times. See more at BlickmanEngineering.com. Bring your next creation to life with the Tower of Power.
Dr. Blickmanstein, with the Tower of Power, you can probably give me an afternoon at the pub to enjoy a pint.
Don't be silly, J.P. Gore. We have beer to brew.
When I order a beer, I want my server to know more about it than I do. I want someone who enjoys good beer and loves helping others enjoy it too. I want someone who knows how to pour a perfect pint for any beer style. I want a Cicerone. The Cicerone certification program is creating the type of people who help you enjoy great beer. Home brewers and craft beer lovers know beer is more flavorful and complex than ever, and it takes some serious knowledge to store and serve beer right. Cicerones know beer. There are 3 levels in the Cicerone program: Certified Beer Server, Certified Cicerone, and Master Cicerone. Cicerones are truly the sommeliers of beer. The best beer locations have a certified Cicerone on staff. Relaxed and unpretentious, Cicerones are tested on storing and serving beer, beer styles, flavor and tasting, the brewing process and ingredients, and pairing food with beer. Learn more about your next beer guide at Cicerone.org. Certified Cicerone, because it takes top talent to present a perfect pint.
All right, BN Army, it's trivia time. What's the only homebrew shop with over 1,000 recipe kits, $4.99 shipping on orders over $100, and is also home of the Wolf shirt? The one and only answer is Austin Homebrew Supply. For over 20 years, they've specialized in creating recipes such as the best-selling Texas Blonde Ale, Apocalypso, Hop Bomb 2.0, and Double Chocolate Stout. And they just recently unveiled their small grain kits that produce 1 gallon of beer. Visit AustinHomebrew.com to browse their extensive catalog of equipment and ingredients. They also have mini clone recipes of your favorite commercial beers. They're the exclusive retailer of BrewVent yeast fuel as well, yeast nutrient, and the all-new Bodybuilder. Follow Austin Homebrew Supply on Google Plus to participate in video hangouts on popular brewing topics. So visit AustinHomebrew.com today and make sure you sign up for their weekly email with news and specials. Austin Homebrew Supply, AustinHomebrew.com.
Back to the beer guys that make other beer guys look like wine guys. Brew Strong.
You know, the music, the rejoinder is a little like porn music-y from the 70s.
Yeah, it is.
Little
big hair.
Slap that ass.
Yeah.
Oh,
Short skirts.
And speaking of which, porn music from the 70s. Uh-huh. I wonder if they got any 70s porn at AdamandEve.com.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I do. I know they have it at Blickman Engineering. You go to AdamandEve.com. You use my name, Jamil, Jamil, at AdamandEve.com as the offer code. You're going to get 50% off any one item. They get tens of thousands of items at reasonable prices. You get 50% off. Mm-hmm. And then they're going to throw in absolutely free 3 free adult DVDs. And that's where I'm wondering if they got the 70s porn.
It could be.
Because you can choose from a whole bunch of different categories. You know, anal, Asian, amateur, big breasts, big butts.
Lindsay Lohan.
Bisexual, Lindsay Lohan, chunky, greasy, I don't know. Well, all sorts of
that
things.
That would be
Olivia
like. Newton-John.
Yeah, and then they'll give you a free extra gift. So sensual, only John and I know what it is.
That's right.
And free shipping on the whole thing. And just by using the offer code Jamil, Jamil, at AdamandEve.com. Check it out. And maybe they get a 70s porn category. I don't know. But that's what reminds me of it every time. All right. Let's get to some questions in the chat.
All right. Well, we have a couple from our trusty chatter, Mile High Brewer. I think he's going nuts because he said this is one of his first live shows, so he's got a million questions.
Well, then it sounds like he's ready to open a Nano brew.
Yeah, quite possibly. The first one is, he says, in Denver, we have a lot of breweries opening and selling only over-the-counter direct-to-consumer. To what capacity is this viable?
Any capacity, as long as you got the consumers. Generally, a lot of places. I mean, you in theory, you could have, especially if you serve food, you could be a brew pub, and I mean, you can do. Some of them get up to like 5,000 barrels annually.
If you've got the time, that's one of the most profitable ways to go.
You're profitable across the counter. You can be profitable even with at 1,000 barrels. You can be that's considered like the profit point for most across the counter brew pub sales, and then it's more like 3,000 or 5,000 for a packaging brewery. So, but there's no limit to that. As long as you've got the room to get the bodies through and your local area will support it. But generally, I would think you're going to top out maybe around 1,000, 1,500 barrels. I don't know. It's like a wild guess.
When from the perspective of a nano brewer, you can be profitable selling just over the counter, but you have to take into consideration that the time commitment to doing that, because you're essentially running a separate business. You're running a bar at that point. For the lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And everything that goes along with that. And you sure as heck are not going to be doing any brewery operations while you're running that tasting room. If you think that you're going to be, doing anything else while you've got customers in there, you got another thing coming.
Well, and the same goes for selling beer wholesale, packaging it up. All that time you spend dealing with those customers and getting that product out and getting those empty kegs back and getting those bottles out and merchandising, all that stuff, that's a whole nother job as well. Now, you can turn that over to a distributor, but then you make less. They're going to take at least 30%. So, well, there's your difficulty.
It looks like he is in the planning stages of opening a Nano, because his next question says he's not in the, quote, brewer inner circle, end quote. When I try to email local brewers for help with questions, I get no response. I assume they think I'm wasting their time since I'm in the planning phase. How should I let them know I'm serious?
I wouldn't email them.
Yeah.
You got to meet people. You got to go to festivals.
Right.
Go to their brewery. Go drink at their tap room. Go get to know them.
Yeah. One, they're really busy. And, two, it depends what kind of questions you're asking. If you're asking, it's the kind of, I get questions, people, and I tell people, don't ask me basic brewing questions. If you haven't done the research and looked it up and all that stuff already, don't freaking ask me. I'll tell you to go read how to brew. You ask me the more complex questions, ones that aren't out there already. Those are the only questions that you ask, other brewers. Don't ask them the basics. But if you find other brewers that have just started out and go to their tasting room and hang out, have some some beers with them, tell them how good their beers are, and then just say, yeah, I'm thinking of starting something as well. I got a million questions. Chances are they'll be like, oh, yeah, what kind of questions? Maybe we could help you out. They're new into it. You go to New Belgium, you're not going to talk to anybody that really knows anything about what you're experiencing. So you need to be careful about that. The other thing would be, like Ken was saying, you go to the festivals. There you're more likely to run into some of the brewers sometimes, and you can say, hey, love your beer. I'm trying to get into it myself. This, and tell them what stage of the process you're at. But if you're real early on, I think a better source for that information when it's real early on is online forums, probrewer.com. You'll get good answers there. The Brewers Association, you can sign up for that, and you can ask questions there. Online would be better, or you can ask on shows like this. I think that's good too. But once you get down to the nitty gritty,
the details.
How do I keep this thing from exploding in my face and killing me? Then the local brewers are a great resource.
Yeah, and like you said in the beginning, as a general rule, don't message them on Facebook. Show up. Go show up. That's the key. Quick one, does Ken serve out of bright tanks or kegs at his tap room?
Well, our tap room's not open yet, but the plan is to serve out of kegs. So that answers that question. We have one bright tank at this point, and that bright tank is just going to be a carbonating workhorse.
And the last one, more of a general question. We are over 2,500 breweries in the U.S. How much further do you guys think we can go? 7,500 like wineries?
Yeah, maybe. There's a lot of little local wineries. There could be a lot of little local breweries too. Eventually, I think something's going to happen, and a number of these places are just going to go away.
You think the next bubble's about to burst?
Yeah, but I think it's 5 years off. I think it'll happen. There'll be a shakeout. It's interesting because the quality of beer now. I mean, back 10 years ago, the beer that somebody like Ken would be producing would be questionable quality. Instead, what he's serving is excellent quality, and all these guys are coming in brewing excellent quality beer. I blame the Brewing Network for that.
Yep.
Would
But
it be credit?
So it's these little small breweries that are coming in and out of the gate excellent beer, and that is interesting. And some of the theory from some of the people I've talked to, they believe that because of the quality of the beer now, the shakeout is going to take a lot longer to occur, and when it does occur, again, it's just going to be the weak players in the market. So, I think you've got a few years to kind of perfect your process and get things, where you're making great beer, and then also to get your financial ship in order. You got to make sure that you're being efficient and cost effective and doing things optimally. And then when there's a contraction, you'll survive because you're making great beer, you're working efficiently, you're running a good business, and those are the kinds of places that survive any sort of downturn in the economy or what have you. Like restaurants. Great food, prices are reasonable, they, are efficient in how they run their business, they survive. The places with crappy food or rude staff or, one cockroach, and they're out of business as soon as the economy turns. So,
all right. Well, there you go. Thanks to the chat room for the questions, as always.
All righty. Any last gem of wisdom for our listeners, Ken, before we call it a day?
Well, just realize that it is more work than you can imagine, and that you will spend every waking hour thinking of it and thinking of solutions to problems. You'll wake up in the middle of the night thinking about it, and just be prepared for that. You don't want to be surprised.
Total lack of sleep.
Yep. Yeah, lack of sleep. I got more sleep when my son was born than I do now. So just keep that in mind. Don't let that blindside you, because that could take a lot of the fun out of it. It's a lot of fun, but it's more hard work than you can really imagine.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for being with us, Ken.
Oh, thank you.
Ken Anthony from Device Brewing in Sacramento. Go check them out. They're off of Highway 50 off of Power Inn Road. Place where they've been growing hops for a long time, up until I think the 50s. That was all hop fields. So go check it out. He's growing something excellent there now. The beer that we tasted was fantastic, and I can't wait for you to get your tasting room open. We'll come on down there and visit you, and I think everybody listening should give that a stop as well. All right. Make sure you check out our fine sponsors, BlickmanEngineering.com. Great people, great equipment, innovating your brew day.
Yep.
Give them a pinch on the butt next time you see John Blickman. I know how much he enjoys that.
Indeed.
Check out AdamandEve.com and the Brewing Network store. There's lots of goodies in there.
Yep. Lots of good books in the Brewing Network store, and lots of good T-shirts too.
All right. Till then, brew strong, everybody.
Brew strong.